All right, since it is Zombie Week over in Killer Flicks, I'm taking on a new series, Return of the Living Dead. We will be covering all 5 of them. I was considering throwing in Chud 2, Bud the Chud, because that was written as a Return of the Living Dead film. It feels like a Return of the Living Dead film. It does not feel like a sequel to Chud in the slightest, but maybe I'll just have to do Chud 1 and 2 soon, because as I said, I always considered Chud 2 a Return of the Living Dead film, despite the title. Now, this is a series that I really enjoy. I'm very excited to go back and rewatch all of these. I love the first 3, and I remember enjoying this, 4th and 5th, as much as everyone seems to hate them. I think they're just fun, but we'll see what I think on this view. So this one has Tom Matthews, Tommy Jarvis himself from Friday the 13th, Part 6. We have Clu Gulager from Nightmare on Elm Street 2. Yes, that's what I always say he's in. We got Demon or Damone here from Friday the 13th, Part 5. And this was the same year as Friday the 13th, Part 5. Also from Friday the 13th, Part 5, we have Victor here, the guy who chops up the kid with the axe. So we get 2 Friday the 13th Part 5 characters here, both from the same year. And of course, the gorgeous Linnea Quigley. Oh my good God. She always adds to any film, for sure. I like how this starts off and it says it's based on a true story. That's great stuff. Like, you don't have to actually mean that to put it on the film. So anybody could just say anything's based on a true story. Although we do get a reference here that Night of the Living Dead was a true story, but that it was altered, changed the facts and whatnot, so they wouldn't get in trouble. And that this is the real version of what Night of the Living Dead was, claiming to be a story of. So this is the real Night of the Living Dead, is basically what they're getting at. And this movie has a bunch of punk rockers in a graveyard, and Linnea Quigley is doing one of the sexiest, most amazing dances and nude scenes in film history. I mean, who doesn't love that freaking dance scene in this film? So the punk rocker thing for me, that always adds to films. I grew up as a punk kid in the 90s, and so any film with like tons of punk rock type kids just instantly kind of appeals to me, just because of my history with it. The music in this film, not only the score, because I think the score is freaking awesome, but also some of the soundtrack, because we got some like punk bands in here as well, so that's always a plus. Tarman, the iconic zombie in this film. They actually use the word zombie. Thank you, Jesus. I hate that zombie films won't utter the Z word. Nuh-uh, don't say the Z word. It's so lame. It's like, just say it's a fucking zombie. I don't get that. I don't know why they do that. But Tarman's special effects and, the creature design, all of that are just phenomenal. I think that some of the practicals in this are excellent and don't get anywhere near enough credit as other films like, the obvious ones, like The Thing or An American Werewolf in London or whatever. Like Return of the Living Dead's, especially for, I feel like, the budget. I think this was lower budget than those. I'd have to look into that to be sure. But man, it's badass. And this movie was written and directed by Dan O'Bannon, who did Alien and even wrote John Carpenter's Dark Star. So that's pretty cool. And when Tarman escapes the thing, and I have to believe that this is because Tom Matthews and the other guy are already dead, like they've already been hit by this, toxin or whatever, because he completely ignores their bodies after he walks over them. And I think that might be our first indication, like, what's going on with these guys? Like, why didn't he eat their brains? And and the only thing I attribute that to is that they're dead already, and he can smell that, and he's like, no, we don't kill our own. Like, we're out for fresh brains. These guys are already infected, but they're not dead at that point. Like, they regress quickly, absolutely, but they're very much alive when they wake up. So I don't know. That seems like a little bit of an inaccuracy there, but maybe because they're knocked out. I don't know. The half dog that falls on the ground, they flip it over and it's yiping, and then they like hit it with the thing and it's squealing. It's so fucked up. I do like that when they take the bags over and they tell the mortician, who is the hitman in Weekend at Bernie's, that they're rabid weasels and that they want to burn them up. He's like, oh hell no, that's cruel, man. We can't just put them in there and burn them up while they're still alive. It's like, thank you. No, you cannot. That is just evil. So he's a good guy, man. He just wants. Why does he have a gun? Like, why does a fucking little mortician there or whatever he is have a gun on him? He's afraid these bodies are gonna come to life. Well, he was right. A lot of zombie, familiarities here are non-existent. Like, they have completely flipped the script on the zombie subgenre. These zombies can talk, they can think, they can feel. Like, these are completely different zombies. They're basically just alive but dead. Like, I know that sounds like a zombie, but these guys are themselves but zombies. So it's really an interesting spin on the zombie subgenre, because most zombie movies usually only have two variances of zombies. You have the fast zombies and you have the slow zombies, and that's like pretty much it. That's like the most different that we get in zombies. So I love that the Return of the Living Dead franchise changed the zombie itself. So big credit to them for that. Yeah, we get to see that with the dude getting a pickaxe in the head, and then they cut his head off, and the body gets up and was running around, and the head is still moving around, the hand, and when they disconnect the whole body, the thing's still moving around. And when they try to burn the body, the smoke just goes up in the air. I don't know, it immediately spawns, like, it sparks rain. Okay, sure, why not? And the rain is able to push it down into the ground, and seepage down through to the coffins, and it leaks through 6 feet of fucking soil plus a coffin casket. Man, that's some hard rain right there. And then they come to life, and God, it's just, yeah, adding to that amazing practical, amazing makeup, all that stuff, a little, skeleton, because we even got skeletons in this. Like, the skeletons are alive. I don't know how a skeleton still has eyeballs. Like, if they ate all of his skin, how is there still eyeballs in his head? You can't overthink things like this, obviously. It's silly stuff, but I watched that and I was just like, pretty sure the eyeballs would be one of the first things to go, not the last. Why they keep the barrels down there, why they never called the freaking place, like, they kind of try to explain it away, and you're like, no. Like, that guy's like, you shouldn't have touched those, no one should even go near them. And it's like, if you don't want anyone to go even near them, why have you not called the number on the side of those and gotten the fuck out of there? Like, there's no purpose for you to have those things, and you're terrified of them. And one of the guys is right in believing that they are, the real version of the Night of the Living Dead zombies. So why are they there? That's silly. As I said, you can't overthink this, but I have to ask these questions. I like when Trash is trying to fuck, I don't know what his name is in this, but Victor from Friday the 13th Far Back. And she just did this like full on nude, we don't really see that much, nude dance on top of someone's fucking grave. And then when she's trying to have sex with him, like, grab at his crotch, he's like, show some respect for the dead. It's like, yeah, I think you, I don't think you understand what that means. Having sex is too far, people, okay? It's just too far. Dancing naked on their graves while a bunch of horny people fucking, like, egg you on and cheer for you, that's fine. That's respectful. That's what you should do on everyone's grave. Yeah, Jesus. Let's see here. We get to see Trash's worst fear come true, that a bunch of men, she says old men, rip her body apart. Which is, yeah, I mean, that's terrifying. Nobody wants to have their body ripped apart or be eaten alive. That's got to be one of the worst deaths ever. But then when Trash comes back, she doesn't have a single mark on her perfect body. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Like, a ton of zombies ate her up. We saw them killing her. We don't even see any marks to suggest how she even died in the first place. By asphyxiation, by them all just like, I don't know, maybe because they have consciousness to them and they're still technically themselves. They were just like, this chick's way too hot to kill. But then they just crowded her and suffocated her, and then she came back. Like, that's it. That's all I can come up with. There's really nothing. I mean, that's not even a good explanation, obviously. More being silly, but that doesn't make any sense. And then, like, when the other paramedic comes and they see the paramedics on the ground, or maybe it's one of the cops, sees a paramedic on the ground, and, like, his head split open. There's, like, a bunch of brains laid out everywhere. And the brains, because they interrogate one of the half zombies, which is such an incredible FX scene. She tells them that the brains are what makes the pain stop. But they left a whole ton of brains out there. That's also another zombie thing that I don't understand is, how are there so many zombies? Like, isn't the whole purpose of a zombie getting a person so that they can eat their body? So if zombies stopped to eat a body and there was hundreds of them, wouldn't they consume the entire body before they moved on? Why is there anything left in order to make a new zombie? That's never made any sense to me at all, but as usual, I'm overthinking it. Another thing that's different here and really fucked up is the fact that there's, you know, the guys who are turning into zombies, and even the zombies who've been, or the people who've been dead forever who turn into the zombies in this movie, they can feel everything. They feel their dead body. They have to, and Tom Matthews and the other guy, they have to feel themselves die after death. Like, all of the after effects of what happens to your body as it dies, as it drops to 70 degrees Fahrenheit, you know, room temperature, and as, you know, the blood in your veins starts to coagulate and you start to go into rigor mortis and be... Like, to feel all of that, like, we're dead, we don't get to feel any of that, but to feel all of that, and then just the pain is constant, and they can feel, like, everything. Like, the guy gets and burns himself. Jesus, this guy was a fucking hero. He went in, he was like, I don't want to be like this, and he went and he burned himself, because he's just, I mean, hero, I guess that's not true, because this whole fucking thing is going to take over anyways. He didn't know that, but I think he was just trying to make the pain stop. And he knew that was really the only way to completely stop it, because there'd be nothing left of him, and he didn't want to be a monster, and he didn't want to feel like a monster, because you can think and you're still yourself, but you want to eat people's brains because it makes the pain go away. But just to be able to feel everything and be able to have some sense and memory of who you are, but also have it kind of skewed because you want so badly for the pain to stop that you're willing to kill loved ones or people you know to consume their brains. It's just really, really, really fucked up, actually, when you really start to think about it. Let's see. Yeah, and then they call the army, and the army's very solid plan is to just nuke the bitch, which is exactly what they would do, and it makes the most sense. As cruel and you know, cold as that is, it does make the most sense. So they do it, and of course, that spreads the disease, even for the virus or whatever you want to call this, the toxin. I don't know if you want to call it at this point, but I guess that is what it is. It spreads all over, and it gets even further out, which is going to spread the virus or whatever, even further. And this is an apocalyptic ending. Like, they thought they stopped it, but they just made it worse, and it's going to get even worse exponentially from there. Basically, there's no way to stop it. Like, it's just death. Like, once that's out, you're pretty much fucked. Once it gets on a large enough scale, you're fucked. Why the army's keeping it around, I guess that was their containment. That's how they contained this virus from the beginning. But anyways, so I'll be recording the other reviews soon enough. I got some things to do, but I'll try to get to those. Big fans of this series? Let me know which films in which order and all that. All right, guys.